Welcome back to Car Beast Family A, your ultimate destination for family-friendly car content, where we explore legendary rides, modern beasts, and everything in between. If you're passionate about muscle cars, performance, and timeless design, you're in for a treat today, because we're diving deep into one of the most iconic American muscle cars of the 80s, the 1987 Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z. The 80s were an exciting time for car enthusiasts. American automakers were pushing to recapture the glory days of muscle cars, and Chevrolet came out swinging with a third-generation Camaro. But among all the trims and variants, one model stood out: the IROC-Z. Named after the International Race of Champions, the IROC-Z wasn't just a marketing gimmick, it was a bold statement, a Camaro that looked fast standing still, and actually delivered on the promise. First introduced in 1985, by the time 1987 rolled around, the IROC-Z had matured into a sleek, confident performance car, and it was one of the most desirable machines on American roads. Let's start with the design. The 1987 IROC-Z had that unmistakable low-slung, wedge shape that just screamed speed. The front end was sharp and aggressive, with integrated fog lights, a sleek blacked-out grille, and a subtle power bulge on the hood. The signature IROC-Z decals ran proudly along the lowered doors, and those 16-inch 5-spoke aluminum wheels they finished in a gunmetal gray added the perfect touch of attitude. It wasn't flashy in an over-the-top way, but it had presence. It had swagger. Pop the hood, and you had a couple of engine options. The real gem was the 5.7-liter twin-port injection V8, better known as the 350 TPI. This engine delivered 225 horsepower and 330 pounds-to-feet of torque, which in 1987 was nothing to sneeze at. That power was sent to the rear wheels through a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, if you went with the manual transmission, you'd get the smaller 5.0-liter TPI V8, which still packed a punch with 215 horsepower. Either way, the IROC-Z was quick, responsive, and had a great soundtrack. That deep rumble from the exhaust was pure 80s muscle. But the IROC-Z wasn't just about straight-line speed. What set it apart from earlier Camaros was its improved handling. With a lowered suspension, gas-filled shocks, and front and rear sway bars, the IROC-Z could carve corners with surprising confidence. The car hugged the road, and it made you feel connected. Driving it felt more refined, more precise than muscle cars of the past, and that made it just as fun on winding back roads as it was on the drag strip. Inside, the Camaro IROC-Z had a driver-focused cabin. The bucket seats were sporty and supportive, often finished in bold cloth patterns that screamed 80s nostalgia. The dashboard was a sea of black plastic, but the instrument cluster was clean and easy to read, with a full set of gauges that made you feel like you were sitting in a real performance machine. T-tops were a popular option, perfect for sunny weekend cruises with the wind in your hair. 1987 was also the first year Chevrolet made some notable changes. One of the biggest was that the IROC-Z was no longer just an appearance package on the Z28 and became its own standalone model. That might sound small, but it marked the IROC-Z as something truly special in the Camaro lineup, and with around 27,000 units sold that year, it was clear that car enthusiasts agreed. Now, let's talk about legacy. The 1987 Camaro IROC-Z wasn't just a cool car, it became a cultural icon. It was featured in music videos, movies, and even video games. It was the car that high school kids dreamed of and the car that adults actually wanted to own. It perfectly captured the attitude of its era, fast, bold, and unashamedly American. Today, the IROC-Z has become a sought-after classic. Prices are rising steadily as collectors and enthusiasts rediscover the charm of this 80s muscle legend. But more than just its looks or its performance, what makes the IROC-Z so special is the feeling it gives you when you're behind the wheel. It transports you back to a time when cars had character, when they were loud, raw, and full of personality. Whether you're restoring one from the ground up or lucky enough to find a mint-condition survivor, the 1987 IROC-Z is a car that turns heads and starts conversations. It's the kind of ride that makes you fall in love with driving all over again. So, whether you're a longtime fan of the Camaro or just discovering the magic of these muscle cars, the IROC-Z is a car that deserves your attention. It's more than just a Camaro, it's a piece of American performance history. That's it for today's video on the 1987 Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a video from Car Beast family. We've got more legendary rides, car comparisons, and all the auto content you and your family love right here every week. Until next time, keep the engine roaring and stay beastly.